Let's recap. The cartridge is king, but it can only work properly if it's held stable, and that means in a rigid arm, which in measurement terms means it'll read 0 dB. The higher the number above that, and you'll get more and more junk. For 60 years, manufacturers have assured us that their arms are stiff. You've now been shown available independent proof that for nearly every arm, that's just not the case. The plots show that they flex and bend from 20 to 45 dB. These are common values, and 45 dB represents movement that's 167 times the lowest amplitudes. Whichever way you look at it, your cartridge moves. It's one of the major sources of coloration in analog. If you want a simple proof, just change the arm and the sound changes. So, why do tubes bend? Because you play records. Needle torque generates the energy, and if you want to improve your sound, the usual advice is, well, replace the deck. But from the above, it's easy to see that this is unlikely to be a good use of your money. The good news is that most decks have in fact got very good motor units. So why not instead keep what works, your motor unit, and replace the problem areas? What's more, from your initial budget, you can even buy state-of-the-art components and fit them to a Riga, a Fluence, a Denon, a Sony or LP12 or Technics. The list just goes on. It's common sense, and that goes back to my early days, things that I learned. From the outset, in typical reverse fashion, Funk's isolation bubble has your back. But designing a truly stable 0 dB arm, it's doable, but it's not easy. I designed to a minimum standard of a 10 dB limit, and that's found on Funk's FX5 arm, and reduces down to 0 measurable peaks in the reference arms. That's all well and good, you say, but my arm's fixed. I can't replace it. Well, and you're not alone. There are millions of resonant S-shaped arms mounted on good motor units. Modern examples are the Technics SL1500s, the new 50C, Audio-Technica's AT120, Project carbon arms, while vintage decks include Pioneer or Sansui, Sony, Denon, and so on. Changing decks becomes tricky as you're only changing the sound. You're not actually doing a lot to move forward. It's a corporate approach that has you trapped in a vicious circle. Well, Houdini is Funk's patented state-of-the-art sprung cartridge isolator. The prospect of fitting Houdini and cartridges, however, terrifies most people. This video then also covers EasyLine, which is a very straightforward cartridge alignment system, and finally, to fit Houdini to a rigid S-shaped arm, we have Cobra. It's a head shell that gives you VTA adjustment on decks that just don't have it. Together they create a barrier to needle torque, and this reduces resonances by an order of magnitude. And here's a modelling plot of it. Houdini fits between the cartridge and the arm using 4 screws, 2 to mount to the arm and 2 for the cartridge. And at just 1.1 grams, it's not going to affect your system resonance. But you're going to ask me how to fit it to a cartridge. I'm not at all confident in doing that. Once again, Funk's got your back. Let's take things a step at a time. Aligning cartridges is the worst job. Well, Funk's got another state-of-the-art solution, and it's Funk's EasyLine. It really does make aligning cartridges and Houdini a breeze. We're going to apply all of these to 3 common setups. An LP12, any generic S-shaped arm, and also a Riga. And while we're going through this, we'll address another fear that people have, that of changing arms. I'm going to show you just how easy that job is on a Riga by swapping Funk's FX3 on a P10. We have a separate video in preparation for techniques, because when we also change the arm, we're going to change the bearing and the power supply. Mention cartridge isolation to a dealer and, like a good politician, they'll follow the 60-year-old script and say cartridges must be rigidly mounting. It's all they know. The thing is, you now understand needle talk, so you know they're wrong. They also have another fear of Houdini. It's actually too cheap, and we'll see this in a minute. The improvement it brings interferes with them selling you a new, more expensive deck. To try to make their sale, they've got to discredit isolation. But you can answer them simply, but the sound changes when we change the arms, so the arms aren't rigid. Cartridge isolation is a real-world solution to the problem that for decades no one's addressed. So far from being an evil, Houdini is in fact a saviour. If music is to improve its standards, the world needs to change its thinking. The best turntables are isolated. Houdini is a micro-floating sub-chassis for the cartridge. Far from being problematic, decoupling now makes perfect sense. Houdini is not a gizmo. It's state of the art. Its job is to emulate the record cutter in reverse. What does that mean? In practice, well, here's a wonderful example. This owner has a Goldmund with a £7,500 cartridge and a £15,000 arm. Total about £40,000. In other words, money's realistically no object. It was as perfect as he could manage. He just couldn't squeeze any more improvement. He then fitted Houdini, and this is what he heard, and these are his words. He achieved this all for the cost of a few LPs and on a £40,000 deck. Here's the real magic. The improvements are greater on cheaper decks. Houdini is like its namesake. Both use the same incredible science. As with 4K TV, Houdini allows the finest of resolutions to come through. In saying the word finest, we actually hit a problem. I've got to now distinguish between analog's lesser 70 dB signal to noise and digital's impressive 120 dB. Despite all of analog's problems, the best of analog still beats the best of digital, and here's why. Cartridges and tape, well, their transcription is continuous, from the loudest all the way down to the quietest. There's no change. Digital's 120 dB isn't natural. 120 dB has been achieved by fudging it to reach it, using admittedly some very clever math. Dither, it's a form of noise, has to be added on. The meter reads 120 dB, but our brains, well, they're clever enough to tell them apart. It's not being anti-digital, it's a simple fact. It's just like film. Digital is flexible and gives us all these fantastic effects, but the best film images, well, they're still analog. You can hear Houdini in your home via digitized, downloadable files. But analog is different to digital, so it'll be like asking for a demo of a 4K on a non-HD set. You'd say it can't be done. The differences will be reduced. Expect more when it's actually in your own system. Mastering Mix is a company who makes digital plugins. Not only do they admit this limitation, they've actually created the following to help you understand dither. The final image is still David, but it's not quite all there. It's missing tiny detail areas. I repeat, this is actually Mastering Mix's own description. In TVs, OLEDs give you more fine detail for you to enjoy. So for a very modest outlay, Houdini does the same in audio. It's that simple. Now, incredibly, we're not finished. Let's have some more fun. Cars have a suspension, not just to give you a smoother ride, but also it controls the handling. Without a suspension, the car is also outright dangerous. It loses contact with the road. Reddit has a great video on this. In it we see the car on a bumpy road, and it's the equivalent of a cartridge on a resonating arm. You'll hear poor reproduction, but think a little bit more deeply. That bouncing will actually vary the tracking pressure, and over time this will increase your wear, shortening the life of your stylus. Like a car, Houdini's suspension protects against this. Houdini really is clever. For their best performance, you should replace arm with Houdini and APM. But if changing the arm isn't possible, then Houdini with Cobra and APM needs to be changed. All Funk products come with Funk's unconditional money-back guarantee, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe. It really helps with the algorithm.